My wedding day nightmare. Caught mother-in-law and sister-in-law plotting with husband's cheating ex-wife to sabotage my dress. Their shocking betrayal exposed. I, 30, female, first met my husband, 40, male, when I started college. He was a professor at my college, and he taught me for 1 semester. I had a huge crush on him back then too, but obviously, I didn't confess my feelings because he was my professor, and he was married at that time. It was just a harmless crush anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I never thought that our paths might cross in the future. I thought I wouldn't even see him after I graduated, but I was so wrong. I had been single for a year after a bad breakup when I decided to try some dating apps. I wasn't even looking for something serious. I just wanted to get back into the dating game. I found him on a dating app. I did a double take because I literally couldn't believe my eyes. Last I heard, he had been happily married, and now he was showing up on my dating profile. I swiped right away because I did find him attractive. We weren't student and teacher anymore, and I didn't think there was any harm in it. I honestly didn't even think that he would swipe right. I thought he would ignore me, but he sent me a message. I was over the moon. It was literally a dream come true for me. I mean, how many people can say that their crush has been interested in them? Of course, I replied to him, and we talked about our lives for a little bit. He asked me what I was doing work-wise, and I did the same. He was teaching at a different college now, and he told me all about it. Finally, after a few days of talking, he asked me if I wanted to have dinner with him. I had almost lost hope because we had been talking, but he had not implied that he was interested in dating me. I just thought he wanted to catch up with me since we knew each other once. I did a little happy dance when he asked me out for dinner, and then I said yes. I wanted to go out with him for the longest time, and I was finally getting the chance. The first time I met him, he was super awkward. He even told me that he had never dated a former student, and it was weird for him. I told him that if he didn't want to go on a second date, I would totally understand. I would be sad, but I would understand. He said no so quickly that it made me laugh. He told me that it might take him some time to get used to this, but he liked me and wanted to go out again. I didn't tell him that I had a crush on him back in college because I didn't want to freak him out even more. I wasn't looking for a serious relationship anyway, so I thought going on a couple of dates with him wouldn't be a problem. I didn't even realize when those couple of dates became a date every week, and then it became a date every other day, and before I knew it, I was in a relationship with him. I have never had such an easygoing relationship before in my life, and it was impacting my life so positively. Being with him made me so happy, and he was always a gentleman, unlike my ex-boyfriend. We had been dating for a few months when we talked about the exes. He told me that his ex-wife had cheated on him, and they had been divorced for 2 years. They had also been separated before the divorce. I felt so bad for him. Cheaters are the worst people in the world. I eventually told him about my crush, and we laughed so much about it. I said that I manifested him into my life, and I didn't know if that was true or not, but I was grateful either way. I had never been happier with any of my partners than I was with him, and he probably felt the same way because he asked me to marry him after a year of dating. I was obviously overjoyed because I loved him so much, and I said yes immediately. My parents were very happy for us, and so were his. I was a little skeptical about his family because they have been a little indifferent to me ever since I met them, but they seemed happy about our engagement. I sort of knew that they would eventually come to like me, but their behavior was stressing me out big time. My husband did try to convince me that his family liked me, and even if they didn't, it didn't matter, but of course, it mattered. I didn't want there to be any bad blood between us. They loved his ex-wife, and always talked about her fondly. It used to upset me a little because they still liked her even after she cheated on him, and they weren't ready to give me a chance. But I understood because they had known his ex-wife for way longer. She used to be friends with his sister before she started dating my husband, so she had been in their lives for quite a few years. I got that. I never had that much history with my in-laws, but they still could have given me a chance. Nevertheless, I was relieved to see that they were happy about our engagement, and I decided to let all that negativity go. My sister-in-law was still not on board with the wedding. She did not like me at all, and she never tried to hide it. I got that my husband's ex-wife was her friend, but she should have been happy for her brother. How could she hate me and not her friend who cheated on her brother? I mean, she had some sick sense of loyalty towards her friend, and I didn't bother trying to befriend her. None of the in-laws helped out with the wedding preparations at all. I sort of had to do everything on my own. My mom did help out with everything my fiancé couldn't, so that was a big help. I just thought that my in-laws needed more time to come around. I was for sure convinced that they wouldn't do anything disrespectful. After the wedding, we will be a family then, so they will accept me into their lives. God, I was so wrong. They didn't wait until after I was married. They couldn't even sit and see me and my husband get married to each other. They had to ruin it. They probably planned it the way they were acting. It is just so awful that they didn't even think about their son and the fact that it was his wedding. On the day of our wedding, I was at the venue getting ready with my mom, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and a few of my friends. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law were acting so shady. They weren't talking to anyone other than each other. They weren't even being polite. They were straight up ignoring my mother and friends. I didn't know what to do or say to them. It was super awkward. After a lot of hushed whispering, they both left the suite where we were all getting ready. My mom told me to go talk to them. She thought maybe they were feeling left out. I doubted that was the case, but I still went after them just to appease my mom. If I could make them more comfortable, then I was going to try for sure. They might not be very happy with me, but they were going to be part of my family, and I wanted them to enjoy my wedding day as much as me. What I saw when I went outside, though, made me see red. Firstly, my husband's ex-wife was standing outside my wedding venue. Secondly, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were both standing with her and laughing. And thirdly, they were filling up water balloons with colored water in them, like literal kids. I didn't even get to say anything before his ex-wife spotted me and threw a red-colored water balloon at me like a child, and it hit me right in the middle, soaking my wedding dress in red water. I started yelling. I didn't even know what I was saying. I just wanted them out of my sight. They weren't laughing then. They just stared at me like I was the one in the wrong. Tears started in my eyes because I was so incredibly angry. They didn't make a move until my husband was standing right next to me with a grave expression on his face. He told me to calm down and let me inside. He gave me water and calmed me down before he went out again for 5 minutes. After that, he said that we would get married in 20 minutes, and he told his family to leave. I wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. I wanted my wedding to be perfect, and now my dress is ruined. It didn't deter my husband, though. He burst a water balloon on his clothes, too. I looked at him with wide eyes, and he just handed me a couple more balloons. He said that he would throw some balloons at me, and I should do the same. He called it our watercolor wedding. I didn't think it was possible for me to love him more, but in that moment, I did. I didn't care that my in-laws were literally evil. As long as I had my husband, I was good. We did get married with colorful clothes, and the absence of his family was the cherry on top. I never wanted to see them again, and I didn't want my husband to ever see them either. Am I the a-hole for feeling relieved that my husband got rid of his family at our wedding and that I don't want him to do anything with them again? Update 1. So, my husband and I left for our honeymoon right after our wedding. He insisted that we both be off our phones so no one would disturb us. I can't even live without my phone, but I gave in to make him happy. It was the most perfect week of my life. I did not miss my phone whatsoever. I was just so happy. I was constantly smiling. When we got back from our honeymoon, we stopped by my parents' place to let them know that we were back, and I miss my parents, so I wanted to see them. My husband didn't even mention his parents, so we went home after that. It wasn't until we were home that I realized that my phone was still in the car. I went to get it, and as soon as I turned it on, hundreds of notifications started blasting. There were missed calls and texts. The majority of them were from my in-laws, and they were all so hateful that I couldn't believe my eyes for a second. My sister-in-law had written such awful things that I started crying. I didn't deserve their horrible behavior. I hadn't done anything wrong, but I was always at the receiving end of their verbal lashings. They were the ones who ruined my wedding until my husband saved the day because he was so wonderful. They should have been ashamed of themselves and should have apologized to me, but here they were, telling me how I had broken their family and ruined their lives. They had no right to do any of that. When I didn't get back inside the house, my husband found me in the garage. I knew I was upset, so he took my phone and read some of the messages. He assured me that we would talk to them and I shouldn't take any of it to heart. Easier said than done. It isn't exactly easy to not take their words to heart, even though I know they were the ones who were wrong 100%. My husband wanted to have a chat with his family alone because he didn't want me to be upset, but I insisted that he invite them to our place. I wanted to be there when they talked. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law came for lunch. They probably thought my husband had called them to reconcile because their expressions fell when they saw me. They probably expected me not to be there. Tough. I wasn't going anywhere. They weren't just playing with my life or my husband's, they were hell-bent on ruining my marriage, all because of that cheating ex-wife of his. I couldn't have that. I thought we would talk to them after lunch, but my husband had different plans. He confronted them as soon as they set foot in our home. He asked why they did what they did at our wedding, and his sister very snidely said that they were just looking out for him. She said that they knew my husband still loved his ex-wife, and I was just a rebound. She kept talking and saying hurtful things, not reading the room at all. I could tell my husband was at the end of his patience. He cut her off abruptly with a shout and told her to shut up. He told her that he didn't love his ex-wife at all and that marrying her was the biggest mistake of his life. He said that she made his life miserable while they were married, and then she went ahead and cheated on him. I looked at him wide-eyed because he had never badmouthed her. He had told me all about his marriage and how unhappy he had been, but he was too good of a person to badmouth his ex-wife, cheater or not. His family actually brought out the worst in him. He was looking very distressed, and I wanted to save him from feeling vulnerable in front of his family, so I told them to leave. They just looked at me like I was stupid. I told them again, more assertively this time, to leave or I would have someone throw them out. They hurried out after that, and I came back to my husband. He was so shocked. He confessed that he never talks like that. I knew that, and the fact that he was still trying to comfort me made my heart break for him. His family had messed him up, and then he got married to the devil and got messed up even more. Update 3. So we didn't hear from his family for a few months after that fight where my husband lost his cool. It took him a while to recover from it too because he wasn't an angry person, but his family just got on his nerves. I really thought we would pass the nightmare that was his family, but boy, was I wrong. I had just reached home after work one evening and found my husband's ex-wife standing in our driveway. I really didn't want to talk to her. I thought about ignoring her altogether and going inside, but I wasn't that person. I got out of my car and asked her what she wanted. She said she wanted to have a chat with me. I told her that I didn't have anything to say to her, to which she rolled her eyes like I was the intolerable one here. I told her that I wouldn't let her inside my home so she could say whatever she wanted and leave. She told me that she still loved my husband. I don't know why she was telling me that. I told her that she was embarrassing herself and she should move on because I could guarantee that my husband didn't feel the same about her. She looked at me like I lost my mind and then started laughing. I didn't have time for her. I wasn't completely sold on her after she threw a water balloon at me on my wedding day like a juvenile. So I started to move towards my house. She tugged on my bag and pushed me a little to stop me. I asked her what was wrong with her. She was acting like a crazy person. We were not in high school fighting over a guy. I told her to act like a grown woman, and if she wanted to confess her love to my husband, then talk to him. I had nothing to do with their relationship. I knew my husband would not even listen to a word she had to say anyway. I literally shoved her away before I went inside. I was so sick of these people trying to butt into my marriage. I did not sign up for his crazy family and a psycho ex-wife when I married him. Update 4. So, I confided in my husband about how his ex-wife cornered me outside our home and was saying a bunch of nonsensical things. I really didn't want to burden him with this stuff because he just looked so tired of it. I knew this. Constant involvement of his ex-wife and family was taking a toll on him, but I couldn't not tell him. I never hid anything from him, and this was all directly related to him. I told him what she had said, and he looked so pained that I almost stopped. He assured me that he did not feel anything towards her, which I knew. He didn't have to reassure me at all, and I hated that he had to because he wanted me to have no doubt. It was so disheartening to see that they were causing problems in our marriage. I told him that he didn't need to say anything to me and that I believed him 100%. He just got so emotional. He told me that he never wanted to put me in a position like this and that he hated how his past life was ruining our present. He looked so helpless when he said that he couldn't protect me from all of this negativity. It brought tears to my eyes. I told him that he didn't need to protect me and that we could just handle it all together. He told me that he would get a restraining order against the next person who showed up at our house to disrupt our lives, whether it was his sister, mother, or ex-wife. He was trying his best to shield me from them, and I was grateful for it. They didn't show up after that day, and our lives were almost back to normal when I found a recording device in my bag. Update 5. A few months after I had that run-in with his ex-wife, I had a horrible day at work. I was on my way home, tired and just ready to call it a day. I had just entered the house when my bag got stuck in the door, and everything fell out on the floor. It was just one of those days when everything was going sideways. I was so frustrated that I left all the things there and lay down on the couch. My husband was the one who picked up all the stuff when he got home. He was feeling terrible, so he told me to relax and he would bring my stuff to me so I could put it back to my bag. He brought all the things and set them all out on the coffee table. And that's when I saw it, a small black digital recorder. I didn't know what it was when I first saw it. I told my husband that it wasn't mine. He searched for what it was and then told me that it was a recorder and it was on. I was super scared because I didn't even know how long that thing was in my bag or who had listened to my conversations. My husband seemed to figure it out first and he looked so pissed off. He got up and called the cops at once. I knew who it might belong to, but I just didn't want it to be true because putting a recorder in someone's bag was downright psychotic. The cops told us that the recorder was purchased by his ex-wife a few months ago. He didn't even try to hide her tracks. She probably thought that we wouldn't call the cops. This time it was me who told the cops to arrest her. They got her for obstruction of privacy and stalking. We had to go to court, but I wanted her to pay because she went too far this time. She had no right to incorporate herself into our lives in the first place, and the things she had done were insane, and I needed to put a stop to them. Update 6. In the following days, I started getting texts from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law again after months. They were still not my fans, and they were blaming me for sending his ex-wife to jail. They said that I was insensitive and horrible for doing that, and she didn't do anything to me. That was a bit of a shock. I mean, what else could she do? She had literally put a recording device in my bag, which is such a gross invasion of my privacy. What did she want to hear anyway? Why can't she just move on like a normal person and leave my husband and me alone? I obviously didn't reply to any of their texts, though. The court was exhausting. His ex-wife really was insane. She kept saying that she wanted him back, and that's why she put the recorder in my bag. She wanted to listen to our conversation and figure out if we had been together when she was married to him. My husband told me later that she had been paranoid during their marriage that he was cheating with her with a student. He had assured her millions of times that he would never do that, but she went ahead and cheated on him anyway. She kept crying about how she cheated because she thought he was cheating too. Does that make any of it okay? I was honestly done with her drama and her presence in my life. I wanted peace, and that's what I planned to get, no matter what. She didn't get any jail time, much to my disappointment. She did get a fine and a restraining order, which made me quite happy. I thought we were done after the court, but my husband took me to the police station and got a restraining order against his sister and mother too. I didn't want to say anything to him since they were his family, but I actually felt safe knowing that they wouldn't come near me now. He also got us a security system to install at home. I was just happy that he cared that much, and that we finally got rid of the nuisance that had been plaguing our lives ever since we got married.